Hey, what's up guys, Rev here. So today we got some more Gamergate related controversies to cover, beginning with a revisit to Black Myth Wukong. This is a game we talked about a few days ago and a game that a lot of people are looking forward to when it releases in August of this year. And a lot of people are also focusing on the Chinese developer Game Science that's responsible for it, because recently they have claimed in a popular post that Sweet Baby Inc. was offering their woke consultation services, and in that process demanded $7 million from this Chinese studio, which the studio would flat out reject because they identified the woke agenda they were trying to inject into their franchise, and they had no interest in that. And they also cited an IGN article that came out about the same time all of this Sweet Baby nonsense was happening, which slandered them with this accusation of sexism. Here's the title of that article. It says, "How Black Myth Wukong's developers' history of sexism is complicating its journey to the West." And as we covered in the previous video about this, the evidence used by this IGN article is already shaky at best. It's basically relying on innuendos and offensive jokes to claim that the women in the development team are being harmed by them, and women generally are being harmed by these actions. It's already a very big stretch if the evidence was true. Well, as it turns out, the journalist lied, because the evidence was the result of mistranslations, and this was something covered in this video from Asmongold's Clip channel, and big props to Asmongold and his editor for discovering all of the mistranslations and providing receipts for them.
This is the most retarded article I've ever read in my life.
Context. IGN published an article trying to smear the company and the devs behind Black Myth Wukong as some sexist freaks because of some of their employees' social media posts. The article cites one of their artists who basically did the still wood meme about this monster. The problem is that this game journalist, either by sheer incompetence or malice, completely mistranslated all of these posts and added words to them in the most uncharitable way possible. And this is nothing compared to the most egregious mistranslation after one of the game company founders posted this in 2020, apologizing for the lackluster trailer of Black Myth Wukong just released. Now, how on earth do you get?
I want to expand my circle and hire more people. Get licked until I can't get an erection.
In reality, the actual translation completely changes the meaning of what he was saying. Not satisfied, I went back checking if anyone called this out when it happened, and they did.
I can't believe that there's a person like this that has access. IGN needs to have this person writing guides on the banana game.
So clearly there is something going on with this article and its alleged sources. There's clearly errors there. But as always with these sorts of articles, they can only be produced as the result of two things. Either blatant incompetence, or this was intentional. This was an intentional bending of the truth and providing mistranslations to serve some kind of a bias. So either way, very bad results. And this would be reflected in this community note that would be applied to the original tweet sharing this article, saying this: "The sexist quotes shown in the article are poorly translated. Accurate translations show the statements being vulgar, but definitely not sexist. IGN reporting on these fallacious, unverified claims as though they're a fact is yellow journalism, which community notes were made to combat." And once again, the community note system on Twitter proving to be the best feature on Twitter, stomping out misinformation being spread by accounts like IGN. And on top of that, it turns out that article we've been focusing on is only the tip of the iceberg. As Mark Kern shares here, that is just one of about a half dozen articles that IGN has made about this game, where they are trying to claim that its developers are sexist. You can see, even in an article just talking about Wukong having a release date, sharing down here that they haven't responded to reports of sexism. And you can see in other articles, they share this same narrative that they had in the initial article, claiming that there was evidence of sexism within the company, and they do that again in this article and again in this later article. And here is the author, or one of the two authors behind this article from IGN, the series of articles from IGN, and they are of course private, and they claim that they're no longer on Twitter. However, that has not stopped journalists from rallying behind this author and the article that they produced. And this thread right here is great. I definitely suggest checking out if you want some more information about this. But this is a great great thread because it shares not only kind of the breakdown of how all these woke DEI scams work, especially how they interact with the game journalists, but also they share a long thread of various journalists who are trying to prop up not only the author of these IGN articles, but also the article itself. So let's begin with the co-author of those articles from IGN, who had to say this: the whole idea that Sweet Baby has extorted money from the monkey game devs and that the mob are systematically hunting down everyone who writes anything about the monkey game is honestly so mind-blowingly dumb that I can't even begin to engage with it in good faith. And that is very, very dishonest. They're trying to paint basically everyone as crazy who is trying to dig into these claims from the studio. And on top of that, let's just get this right. They're mad because people are trying to do what? Discover who wrote the articles? That's all people are doing. They're not hunting anyone down. They are doing research. You should try it sometime. People are seeing that there are multiple articles by IGN with the same two authors in most of them who are making these slanderous claims against this studio using evidence that has mistranslations. People are doing evidence and trying to ask, why are you providing mistranslations as fact, and why are you making these false allegations against the studio over and over and over again? What is your response? Are you going to take this down? Probably not. But anyways, you can see a lot of people believe these allegations and think they might have merit because it reflects the attitude of Sweet Baby Inc. Demanding that people use your services or face some sort of threat of cancel culture is exactly what the CEO of the company, Kim Belair, has said in direct quotes.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Now here's another member of the industry saying this: grifters and weirdos will never stop switching targets and moving goalposts to keep the swindle going. They are the real cancer trying to attach to the game industry. If you look closely, they don't have a foot in the door, and the reason is, they suck. No one wants them around. Again, I'm not really sure what they mean by grifters and weirdos who are trying to get in the door. I'm assuming they're just kind of dismissing all of their critics under that label, which is, of course, shifting the goalposts just as they're criticizing their supposed opposers of doing. But anyways, that just seems like a real cop-out. Like, we understand who the real problem is in the gaming industry. It's reflected in the numbers. Look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. They worked with Sweet Baby. What happened to them? They lost Warner Bros. Over $200 million. The proof is right there. And on top of that, you have another journalist here making this comment saying Rebecca Valentine, the author of some of those IGN articles, is one of the best reporters on the beat, has broken countless stories, and has done genuinely important work in this industry. Some folks got to find better ways to fill the hours. Now, if you want to see better ways to fill the hours, just visit some of the pages of these journalists where they literally tweet every 10 minutes for the entirety of their day. That's a better way of spending your time, apparently. But I will say this. I find it very disingenuous. These people say, oh, Rebecca Valentine is the best reporter. They ignore the reason she's being criticized. They won't even mention it. They won't even acknowledge it. She shared a mistranslation and then an accompanying false allegation. Nobody is acknowledging it. You know what? I'll take you at your word. And I will say, you can even say like, okay, maybe she is a good journalist overall, but she wasn't in these articles that she made about Wukong. She made mistakes and she made false allegations. She messed up. She still might be a great journalist overall, but in this case, she made a mistake. I would have infinitely more respect for these game journalists and Rebecca Valentine herself if they could just admit those articles were a mistake. But overall, we do better work in other aspects. If they could at least admit some fault when it's clearly right there, I would have a lot more respect for them, but they just can't do it. You know, they mock people for being a part of the supposed culture war, but that's exactly what they're doing. They're a part of it too. And they will not admit any faults because it would damage their own narrative in this culture war. And here's another comment coming from the industry. This person saying, with a tag of the author saying, is the best journalist in the industry, bar none. She's done more for gaming than Kern has ever done, and that's a fact. Brother, can you say rent-free? You see an author being criticized by thousands of Twitter users, gamers, and alike, and the only person in your mind is Mark Kern. He is dominating your thoughts. Like, I say this genuinely. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk in any sort of a way, but when it gets to this, when someone is occupying your thoughts this deeply that you're thinking about them, anytime you see a negative thing on the internet, you might need a break. Like, seriously, take a breather, take a break. it's not that big of a deal. You need to take a step back because this is just kind of doesn't look good, dude. But anyways, this was the initial screenshot that was shared at the beginning of this thread, and I think it's a really good breakdown of how these things work, of how these DEI and woke narrative sharing all kind of works, right? There's a simple formula that we're seeing happen over and over and over again, and give credit where credit's due. I guess it's a good business model because it's been working for years to the tune of millions and millions of dollars. So this is how the scam works. Number one, fake journalists and their cancel pig accomplices complain about lack of representation. 2. Video game studios cower in fear because they may lose ESG investment. 3. Sweet Baby Inc. says, pay us to make these problems go away. Number 4. Video game studio hires SBI. Number 5. SBI injects video game with Marxist DEI nonsense. Number 6. Fake video game journalists praise the studio's DEI efforts. 7. Players get the horrible, unplayable woke game. 8. Game flops, studio closes, layoff devs. 9. Fake journalists blame racist, bigoted gamers. 10. Rinse and repeat with a new studio. Does that sound familiar? Does this formula sound familiar? Because we have seen it happen over and over again with studios. They hire Sweet Baby Inc. under the fear of cancel culture and all these things and losing their investments. And then they employ them, pay them millions of dollars, and then the game flops, the studio crashes, but then the journalists who are propping up this movement with Sweet Baby, and also Sweet Baby themselves, they just move on. They're the ones who don't lose anything. In fact, they're the ones profiting from this. The studios take the bad end of this, right? They shut down. They believe this nonsense. They thought it was going to help them, and it doesn't. The only winners in this scenario are Sweet Baby and the journalists that are trying to prop them up. That formula has been at work for years. And thanks to the actions of people like Chris Kindred, the Sweet Baby Inc. employees who try to take down the Sweet Baby Inc. detected Steam group, they have brought a big spotlight to this formula. And now people are calling this out and connecting the dots of where Sweet Baby Inc. has shown their influence and how they have crashed the games they've worked on. And now some studios like Game Science are looking at that and saying, wait a second, I don't want to hire these people. They are a magnet for negativity. They're a terrible PR move. And at the end of the day, we're going to lose money. I don't want to hire you. And honestly, that should be the push moving forward. More awareness of Sweet Baby and what they're doing. And of course, just like the Streisand effect with the Sweet Baby Inc. detective group when employees tried to get it taken down and it made it blow up in popularity, right now, the most wish-listed upcoming Steam game is Black Myth Wukong. Now, this game already had a lot of praise and hype, but with the recent attention from IGN and all this nonsense in Sweet Baby, there is a huge, huge stage for this game and its development team, and a lot of people are once again rallying behind this product because it is rejecting the woke nonsense of these journalists and Sweet Baby. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, another round of seeing a bunch of game journalists shoot themselves in the foot and expose their schemes to basically profit off of wokeness being injected into games. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comments section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.